Good afternoon and welcome to CCN Midday News. I am your host, Captivating Christian, and here are some of your top stories for today, the 15th of July. The former CDC heads tell the Trump administration is risking lives by politicizing science. The Trump administration rescinds the rule on foreign students. And Senator John Kennedy tells schools reopening opponents to kiss his ass on Sean Hannity. President Donald Trump says that he will bring down Chicago's violence even if he has to go in and take over. And judge rejects a proposal Harvey Weinstein's class action settlement. Let's get to the news. Four former heads for the Center for Disease Control and Prevention warned on Tuesday that President Donald Trump's administration is needlessly risking the lives by undermining science and public health officials. In an op-ed published in the Washington Post, the former CDC directors, as well as the former acting CDC director, blasted the administration's officials for taking political potshots at scientists during the coronavirus pandemic. As America begins a formidable task of getting our kids back to school and all of us back to work safely amidst the pandemic that is only getting worse, public health experts face two opponents: the COVID-19, but also political leaders and their attempts to undermine the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. The former CDC chiefs cautioned that the coronavirus is not even close to being under control in the U.S., despite Trump and his allies' suggestion that it is. On Wednesday, Trump blasted the CDC non-binary guidance for reopening schools, calling it very tough. Vice President Mike Pence, who's Trump's opponent to lead the White House coronavirus pandemic in February, suggested later that day that the CDC could be relaxing its guidelines. And this is the part of the show that we've all come to know and love, where I talk about these stories that are on the broadcast this afternoon. So the CDC has blasted the Trump administration as well as Donald Trump for undermining the science and the facts of the coronavirus. I agree. I think it is important that you make sure that the facts are the facts and the facts be brought out, and the potential of Americans to lose their lives is great. And I think that the more information, the better. I think the public, there's no time for political games for Republican and Democrat. This is all about saving lives, period. And that should be the goal. Not worried about whether you want to keep the numbers low so you look good, but making sure that the American people are safe and well. That should be the goal. But of course, you're dealing with a president who's all about numbers and figures and likes to be pandered to. So of course, he's going to put up a fight and lie, and the fact that he is allowed to lie and bring up numbers or discredit very educated, non-cheating people who have, made their career out of what they do, to undermine them is a disservice, and especially to the other political, advocates he does have, that go on to the Fox News or the MSNBCs or the NBCs or CBSs and, kind of promote what he does. It's very disheartening. Facing 8 federal lawsuits, the opponents from hundreds of universities, the Trump administration on Tuesday rescinded a rule that would have required international students to transfer or leave the country if their schools held classes entirely online because of the coronavirus pandemic. The decision was announced at the start of a hearing in the federal lawsuit in Boston brought by Harvard University and the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. The U.S. District Judge said federal immigrants authorities agreed to pull the July 6 directive and return to the status quo. A lawyer representing the Department of the Homeland Security and the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement said only that judges' characterization was correct. The announcement brings relief to thousands of foreign students who had been at risk of being deported from the country, along with hundreds of universities that were scrambling to reassess their plans for the fall in light of the policy. With the policy rescinded, ICE will revert to a directive from March that suspended typical limitations around online education and foreign students. Once again, the Trump administration, has lawsuits in front of them. This is not a surprise, nor is it anything new to President Donald Trump at this point, but the Trump administration has had tons of lawsuits since its inception. They have tons of lawsuits at their desk, and once again, they had lawsuits from a lot of the colleges and universities because they have foreign students who are in the universities and have scholarships and other kind of programs to gain an education, and his deportation policies or his ICE informants were basically, especially during this pandemic, they were just snatching people up like it was a free-for-all. So much so that Harvard University, the MIT, which is the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and many other colleges and universities came together and put a lawsuit out against the Trump administration, which caused them to pull back their policy as it pertains to how ICE was handling immigrants or people who were on educational visas and things of that nature during this coronavirus pandemic. So this is definitely a big win for a lot of the foreign students who come here for educational purposes, research, and things of that nature. So big win for them. I really don't even understand how an administration, a person who is a president, would go after people at this point. We are dealing with a crisis beyond measures, some of which that I know many of us, if not all of us, have never seen before. So I just don't understand where his head is at, where the administration's head is. It's really chaotic, and as much as he talks about cleaning the swamp, he's brought a whole boatload of swamp creatures with him in this cabinet, and I'll be so thankful for November, please. Senator John Kennedy, a Republican senator out of Louisiana, straight up told the people to kiss his ass if they continued to oppose reopening schools for political reasons. The senator joined Fox News' Sean Hannity Monday night to discuss the news that numerous school plans to continue with online learning in the midst of the coronavirus pandemic. Kennedy argued that some people seem to be enjoying the fact that America continues to face troubles because of the health crisis. He said, maybe they just hate America, Kennedy said. Maybe they just enjoy watching the world burn. I think some are liking the chaos because they think it gives them a political advantage. Even though the CDC has warned about the potential hazards of reopening schools, Kennedy continued by saying that they must reopen schools. Keeping the schools closed is going to hurt kids far worse than the coronavirus can. As he acknowledged those who disagree with his position, Kennedy continued to hammer away at those who think that they are politically benefiting from an ongoing school closure. They are using our kids as political pawns, Kennedy said. To them, I say, unshamingly, they can kiss my ass. That's wrong to do. The kids of America. So, and excuse me for this, but this swamp mouth creature, because every time he talks, he sounds like he's about to lose his teeth out of his mouth, and they're just like slipping because there's no polydent. I guess he doesn't believe in polydent or something, but it sounds like his teeth are slipping. But anyway, Senator Kennedy, who has always been a big cheerleader for President Donald Trump and hope, I guess, to get a seat at the table of the administration, but he's in Louisiana and he dresses like a backwoods swamp, person. He looks like one, like he grew up in some kind of trailer park. He learned how to put a suit and tie on, became a senator, and whoop-de-doo. But Trump doesn't see it for him because Trump is from New York. And he would never be around the likes of someone like John Kennedy. But, of course, because he has to make nice and play nice, he relishes on the things that Senator John Kennedy from Louisiana says, but in actuality, he would never be around someone like John Kennedy. But anyway, John Kennedy was on Sean Hannity on Monday night talking about what else but schools reopening. And he said the schools have to reopen because it's for the kids. Well, my thing is, if you're for the kids, then you would want the kids to be safe. And the safest place for them to be at this moment would not be around other children when you don't know where the other children who they were around, but to be around their own families and the people that they're around mostly, and learning online in the comfort of their own home and safety of their own home. But no, they want children to go back to school and amidst this pandemic to further spread the coronavirus to other family members, other students, as well as putting teachers at risk. Teachers are already underpaid, already paying more for supplies and doing all of those things, feeding students, taking care of students that come from homes in which maybe the parents can't do that much. So now you're going to risk all of their lives to put children in schools when you really have the technology, the budgets, and so on and so forth to allow these children to be educated online or some other safer method until you can get this under control. I really don't understand it. And for him to say that the opponents who believe that the children are safer at home to kiss his ass, really? Really? That was big of you? That's all you can say? And the level of the incompetent is always to go for foul language and not use your vocabulary. Use your words, Mr. Kennedy. Use your words. And to have a last name like Kennedy, of course, no relation, is kind of total disgust. But anyway, Yeah, so I just felt like that was a bit disgusting, and he needs to find better words. And again, November cannot come any sooner to get rid of a lot of these pandering kiss ups that really are not there to serve the people, but to serve themselves and this narcissistic president. President Donald Trump on Monday pledged to bring down shooting numbers in Chicago and other American cities, even if he has to go in and take over. Trump was speaking at a law enforcement roundtable at the White House where he taunted his record of pro-safety, pro-police, and anti-crime. During the event, he turned his attention to Chicago, one of his favorite targets, and again compared the city with Afghanistan. The president cited erroneous numbers and says that there, 20 people killed, many shootings in the city over the weekend. In fact, 10 people were killed in the shooting over the weekend and 50 other people injured in a shooting across Chicago. Mayor Lori Lightfoot has relished attacking Trump, frequently ripping him as a divisive, leader who demonized Democratic cities like Chicago solely for political gain. But she did not immediately respond Monday to the president's last remarks. Here we have a good one. So this one, the president, of course, once again, he had a forum with law enforcement because, he's the law enforcement president. He's a wartime president, and we're not at war. We're in the midst of a pandemic, but okay. So he had a round table, and of course everybody had to sing his praises and talk about how great he was in order to be invited to the table, and that's just what they did. And it was basically praising the people in blue and talk about how they should not defund the police around the United States, but more increase funding for the police and give them more materials and weapons, military weapons, and all these other things. So, it was a real shit show. But, however, moving past that, of course, he mentioned his favorite city, like he likes to mention all the time, Chicago, and talked about how bad it was and how the violence was and how all these people got shot over the weekend, which was not true. He said about 20 or more, and it was really only 10, but a lot of other people were injured. Now, again, you can call me a conspiracy theorist all you want. I believe there's more to it. I do not fully believe that, quote unquote gangbangers are going around just shooting up people. I believe that there's a system at play here. There are some police officers involved in some dirtiness that once the talk of defunding the police department started coming around and people started really getting serious about it, some of these people started hitting their street informant, their street cover-ups, and hey, go do this, go do that, go do this. So that way they get to see, you need the police. See all this violence, you need the police. I've said it before, and I'll stick by it because I believe it to be true. So anyway, he talked about that. Lori Lightfoot, Mayor Lori Lightfoot, who loves to use those favorite words she has two words for Donald Trump. The first one starts with F and the second one is U. That she hasn't responded to his comments, but he said that if the violence does not stop, that he himself, will come to Chicago and maintain order. I would really love to see Donald Trump take his fat, cheesy behind to Chicago and try to step to anyone as far as that concerned. He will, of course, like he always does, like a little boy playing with his green men or his GI Joes, he will march them into Chicago if need be. I mean, I hope that doesn't happen, but of course he's a showman, so he will put on a show and have troops down there and create a larger problem than need be, just like in DC with the peaceful protesters and the military guard that he had come down just in case there was unrest. They were ordered to put their bayonets on their rifles. But of course, generals in the military declined for the soldiers to do so. And thank God for that, because there would have been a lot of bloodshed, I'm sure. So Lord knows what he may plan to do. I hope it doesn't come to pass, but you would never know with this fool. Amidst mounting objections from women who accuse Harvey Weinstein of sexual assault and harassment, the New York federal judge has rejected a proposed settlement that would nearly resolve all of the civil claims against the producers, the Weinstein Company, and several of its directors. During a Tuesday hearing, the U.S. District Attorney denied preliminary approval of a proposed settlement that put forth in June by a class counsel, which was supported by the New York Attorney General's office. On Monday, objections poured in from multiple women who found the agreement to be supremely unfair. The settlement, which included an $18 million victims fund to be paid by insurance companies, included no admission of wrongdoing by any of the defendants. It also provided a $1.5 million defense fund that would cover the cost of defending suits from accusers who did not participate in the settlement. Also under the settlement agreement, the accusers would have forever released the defendants, who included TWC board members, executives, from claims of arising from allegations of sexual misconduct, and the New York District Attorney's office would have been barred from prosecuting any related actions. A spokesperson for the New York Attorney General office said that we will receive the decision and determine the next step. Our office has been fighting tirelessly to provide these brave women with the justice that they are owed, and will continue to do so. We have Harvey Weinstein. Now, Mr. Weinstein is, of course, from the Weinstein Company, the movie producing company, and show producing company as well, for shows like Project Runway and, countless other movies. But Harvey Weinstein has been in Rikers Island due to the sexual allegations that he was charged with. So he put forth a proposal for a settlement for 18 point some odd, like $18.8 million, to where in which it would be a fund for $1 million, $1.5 million for his legal fees or funds, just in case somebody who wasn't involved in the lawsuit came forward with more allegations. Otherwise, for the women involved in the lawsuit already, they would have a fund for them. However, they would not be able to discuss or talk about any other, or go forth with any other charges on anybody else included in the company, in the Weinstein Company, any other directors, anything. So basically, it was like a gag order, in the words of Kaya. Shout out to Kaya. But it was like a gag order. The women were not happy with it. They declined it. The funny part about this is that the District Attorney's Office of New York accepted it at first. So then I'm wondering, did they change their minds after the piece said something about it? Was it like, oh, okay, let's think about it some more, because they were so quick to accept it and move on. Then when the women were upset and felt that it was not enough, that it didn't put any blame on Weinstein at all. They couldn't say he did anything wrong or there was any wrongdoing. It was just like, okay, let this go away. Harvey Weinstein himself is still trying to push to get out of jail due to the coronavirus pandemic, being that he is in Rikers Island at the moment, and Rikers Island at the time, I'm not sure about now, but at the time had the highest cases of coronavirus in New York. Was actually the Rikers Island prison was the highest. So it'll be interesting to see where this story goes and how it grows legs. But you do the crime, you do the time, and your money does not allow you the opportunity to kind of scapegoat around it. I mean, although yes, there's very much evidence of that in this in this day and age, in this time, that money can get you around a lot of things. And I guess you've done it so much that you're used to it, so you'll try your hand. But the judge has rejected his proposal. However, the district attorney of New York at first accepted it, and that's so funny to me that after the women say no and the judge rejects it, now they say no, they're going to make sure that these brave women get every bit of justice that it's owed to them, and they won't stop until justice is served, quote unquote. I'm paraphrasing, but yeah, and I just found that to be a bit ridiculous. But again, money talks, and I guess as the saying goes, bullshit walks. So we'll see. We will see. Once again, thank you for watching CCN Midday News. Hope you enjoyed. Please like, share, and subscribe. Also hit that notification button so you will never miss another news update. Have a great day. Peace.